On the 7th of November 2019, we uploaded our first video to YouTube.
Yeah, and now it's been 2 years, so we're doing an anniversary special, which we decided would be a Q&A. So we sourced the Qs from Twitter, and now we're doing the As.
Wow!
Cool!
Cool! Will you ever open up your Discord server to the public? The answer is sadly no, because when Discord servers go public, they become a bit crowded. And what happens is that content creators don't really have time or energy or even like the resources in general to actually interact with everyone and be there. And we think that is really important. So we want to keep the community a bit smaller on our Discord. And by keeping it behind Patreon, we kind of ensure that to happen. We want to make sure that if you pay for the Patreon, then you will actually know that we will be there and you will be able to interact with us at all times, basically. And that's what we find important. So that's a pitch for the Patreon. You imply in your reviewer brain video that you feel referring to y'all's channel as a video game channel isn't accurate. Any particular reason that video games ended up being what you predominantly talk about?
Because that's what we basically do the most. We have tried to do other kinds of videos. If you watch the early stuff, you can notice that we don't really give off the vibe that we are a game channel. It just kind of happened because our background in games writing and like just common interests, our mutuals and everything, that it, like you kind of just get pivoted to becoming a video game channel. But we have done stuff that's not video game related even recently, so yeah, we just kind of want to be open for
anything.
Yeah, to not be stuck in
and
becoming like only video games, because that's a bit restrictive.
It is.
Needlessly so.
Like, it makes sense that we would do it. Like, we're like this room is filled with video games to the point where there is barely any more room for them. It's a hobby thing. We do it a lot. So that's why it happens. But we don't want it to hold us back. Yeah. That's why. We were asked by several people if there are any video ideas that we have filed away or simply don't feel that we can do because we lack the skills or knowledge, the resources, or simply that they wouldn't actually sell on YouTube, even if we might think they are incredibly interesting and cool. We don't think that skills and knowledge has really held us back a lot in this case. It's more so that there isn't enough to talk about, or that the subject isn't like really a good fit.
Yeah. Most of the stuff we have scrapped have been things that were in a pipeline for too long, basically. Like they stopped being relevant either to the general discourse or to us. Sometimes it's just like we have an idea and then we go back to it a year later and we're like, I don't even know what this is anymore. Fuck it.
Yeah, or like it's not actually, we realize that it's not actually that interesting anymore.
Yeah, there have been scripts that we kind of started and then we're just like, I don't know.
Yeah, we had a thought about like doing a Metroidvania thing.
Yeah, we really started working on that, like playing a lot of games, making lists of things to play, and then we just kind of fizzled out on it.
Yeah, just scrap that shit. I think that most of the time, though, we have found a workaround for most of the things that we have been talking about here, like the games that are not palatable, I guess, to a general audience. For example, if you've seen the Play Labor one, that is actually kind of like a Trojan horse for us talking about Wilmot's Warehouse. So you start off by clicking the video about Super Mario Bros.
Yeah.
And then you end up actually listening to us talking about Wilmot's Warehouse.
And Sokoban.
Yeah. And that's like, we wanted to make a video about Wilmot's Warehouse, but it didn't happen. And then what we have found is that if you, like I said, Trojan horse them into something else, then suddenly they're more clickable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Wilmot's Warehouse is a game about working.
Yeah.
So we made a video about games where you work.
Yeah.
Contrast with Watam.
Yeah, the Watam video.
The Watam video, no one watched that because it was a video about Watam, which is a game no one really cares about.
No one.
Like, we have mutuals who have had severe problems trying to sell a Watam video because no one will want to watch it for whatever reason. And we kind of learned from that some games or media or whatever, like some subjects are too slim for a general audience. So you will have to kind of rephrase it to be something that you could imagine people want to click. And then you can talk about it because the Play Labor one has had a lot of good reception. People liked it, and people found out about Wilmot's Warehouse from that one because, well, they got introduced to it that way.
What we should have done with not Wilmot's Warehouse, with Watam, is that we should have put it in a different context.
Yeah, probably like, here's a look at all the Keita Takahashi games, because, I mean, we would basically only have to add Katamari and Nobi Nobi Boy to that. Like, I don't think it would have been...
We already talk about them for a little bit.
Kind of do, yeah. It would have probably been a better, but whatever. It's done.
Yeah,
you should watch it anyway.
Go watch it. Where did the idea of the ghost and channel name come from? What part of the creation process is the most irritating? What's a lesson that you have learned making these videos? The idea for the channel and the ghost, who is actually called Boo, actually came from us wanting to make a talk show thing, a live stream where we basically talked specifically with trans people. The thing was that we wanted to do it in connection to video games, I think it was. Like, for example, trans creators and all that stuff.
It was supposed to be in Swedish.
Yes.
That's why the Patreon and our personal site are called Transparens, because we can just rebrand it to that immediately. Alicia had an old Patreon from her old project that was just like, we can rename this Transparens. That project never came to be. That was in mid-2019. Instead, I had an old video project on my own that I had started before we met. And I hadn't finished it. I showed the spare parts to Alicia, and she was like, "Hey, I could do this."
I can help
and
you.
she just kind of took over that project and just made it better.
Yeah,
and scolded me for you were like, "Oh, you have been recording too short clips here. This is too specific. This is too short. We need better material." And
it's
so
funny.
you kind of railed that project, and we were like, "Yeah, we could do this maybe."
Yeah,
because I had been doing videos before. You had been doing videos before. Like we just kind of had that in common. So we started a YouTube channel.
And we just used the material that we had.
Yeah.
Like, for example, transparency, the idea, of course, like the whole idea of transparency as a name was just that, it's about trans people, us as trans people talking to other trans people, but also we're talking to people and like it's a bit revealing, you know. And the ghost just came into that because, well, this is really stupid, but ghosts are transparent. Yeah. And there we go. That's just how it goes.
Ghosts are cool. I like ghosts.
Yeah. And like we just used all the material we had kind of started with.
The name isn't made for the channel. It just kind of was something we had lying around, so we just used that branding.
Yeah,
that was just pre-made, but it was fine because I mean it still works. You can make it work.
Yeah, you can make a reading out of it. But yeah, when it comes to the creation process, what is most irritating, I would say it's probably the recording sessions because they're really long.
Yeah.
For me, who's recording, sometimes, depending on what happens, like I record it in not necessarily one go, but one long file where I do retakes and stuff so you can choose from them and all that stuff. And I can sometimes make a file that's about like 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
And that really takes a toll on you.
Yeah, like
what
the
it has
whole
done,
recording
though,
process, I don't like any of that really, because
No,
when
you
you're
don't do that.
recording, I don't like being at home because I have to sit and be quiet and really don't do anything. Like we have a small apartment, I can sit maybe in the kitchen, not make too much noise. So usually just go on like a long walk, go grocery shopping or whatever, and every time I come home, you're still like, I'm only halfway through, and it's like, oh, fuck, I've been out for over an hour. And also editing all that stuff. It takes time, and it's boring, repetitive. You're just listening to flub takes over and over, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You're like anticipating, yes, and you stumble.
it's funny. And what's a lesson we've learned from making these videos? I would say, like, just in general, it's probably good to have an end point. You know, when you're making a script, you can sit with it forever. You can be like, oh, I gotta make it perfect. I gotta continue. I gotta, like, oh, and you don't think about the finish line. But when you set up some sort of semi-schedule, like we have about one a month, which we can move that a little bit. But the whole idea is that we should finish it in a month. If you have that restriction, at least you will actually be moving forward. At some point, you need to stop writing. At some point, you need to stop editing and just finish it and move it out and move to the next thing. And I think that's helpful, especially in YouTube, the YouTube sphere, where you have to like make content at least a bit periodically. If there was a perfect transparency made game, what would it be like? If you could, would you make this channel your sole career? What is the best color? Retro era revivals? Good? It already exists. It's Dashin the Giant.
So you know Puyo Puyo Tetris? We were thinking that, but like just add all of the other ones. So it's like Puyo Puyo Tetris, Dr. Mario, Panel de Pon, Puzzle Bubble, Luminous, Meteos, Mr. Driller, Warriors Woods, whatever. At least add all of them.
Like in one game?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Just to move on from that, I think that the end goal, to some degree, is to make the channel as our sole career.
Yeah.
Like we're not necessarily thinking that it's gonna happen.
No.
We're
hopeful for it, but like
we'd like to see that.
So you have a second job.
Yeah.
You work from home. I have university, and because of the pandemic, I have been doing that from home as well. So we have been very able to work a lot.
It's been a bit more weird though.
Yeah.
When we started out, we didn't have that problem.
No.
None of us were working at that point.
A bit.
Yeah. A little bit, but not a lot.
No.
So at this point, it's kind of different, but I think we have found a bit more of a way around it.
Basically, I still have 1.5 year of university left.
Yeah.
At that point, it would be well if we could just
do it
full time. We'll see.
You'll probably do it while I'll continue working, but that's fine. Favorite color? Absolutely red.
Orange. Or yellow. Oh, I like yellow.
And retro era revivals, good. Yes. Do it if you want to. If not, don't. What's your creative process? How do you manage to create such well-researched, well-written, and lengthy videos so regularly? The creative process is not really that different, I think.
No.
It's one of those where it's like research, start writing, editing, and then finalize the product, sort of.
Like our secret is just basically that we are two people, and that's very helpful because we can multitask, we can fill in for each other, we can like just kind of marathon things when we need to, so we can just get like a whole work day of constant working by just kind of being like, I'm tired, can you take over? And then you take over for a few hours, and then I take or we do some stuff simultaneously. Like, we're just kind of efficient by being two people. That's the biggest secret for us. It's not a secret.
No. If we were alone, it wouldn't work that well.
No, it wouldn't even have half the amount of videos we have out.
Absolutely not. I wouldn't be able to.
No.
First of all...
Me neither.
Yeah, like first of all, you write things, I write things, and then we just alternate between those things.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, now you have written something, and now I have written something, and it's just... You can't really do that.
No.
When you're working alone.
Especially not every month.
No,
I would have been burned out
Big
long
time.
ago if I was doing this stuff every month.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the creative process, basically. Do you work on multiple videos at a time or only just one? Both yes and no.
Yeah.
Yeah, the videos are in different stages all the time.
Yeah. Like, we have a lot in planning and research, and like also writing that like they are in a bit of a mush, but
yeah,
we usually have like a plan that, okay, this month we will be doing the Metroid one, and then we kind of pivot towards writing that.
Yeah, and finishing
the writing, and it kind of depends. Sometimes one of us will just be writing and the other will be writing something else that will be maybe next month. But basically, when we have recorded a script, then all focus shifts over to the video so we can edit. Like, we
don't edit several things at the same time.
We have
That's
never
the
done
only
that.
Part.
No, and we very rarely, if ever, work on scripts while also editing a video, because at that time it is just more efficient if both of us focus on editing.
Basically, I think that it's kind of funny. We've talked about the document several times before. Just a big old document where we have like links to other documents where we're working. And right now we have several scripts that are at least started. And that's kind of how it looks. It's like we have left some things like for several months now, and just being like, we'll take
video
that later.
ideas in there that have been around since the start.
Yeah, and that's basically how it goes. There is like I think some of them are kind of funny because the research where we or rather there's a bunch of notes.
Yeah.
But the notes are so long where it's like, I don't even know where to start with this one. No. And it's funny. As a pair who makes videos together, what is most valuable for you both about doing this kind of work together? Are there any difficulties that arise in making essays as a duo?
Yeah, so we kind of went through a lot of the positives about working as a team. A lot of bigger YouTube channels, we kind of just work until they are able to employ like a editor or something. Yeah. And then they can just kind of offload their workload. And we just started at that point, which is like, it's such a cheat, like, life hack benefit of working that, like, if you're a couple and you're both doing this, that's great. That's very valuable. But of course, there will be... But
I would also say, I just want to add one thing that I think is most important, that is like the most valuable thing. It's the fact that we can we can like pitch ideas to each other and talk about it a lot, because
we workshop a lot of stuff.
Because most of the time before something becomes a script or even like a blurb in the document, that's what happens. We talk about it until like we're beating a dead horse, basically.
Just reciting the same old arguments like we haven't heard them before. It's kind of silly. Like our daily experience is just being like
Belle and Wonderworld.
Belle and Wonderworld. And he's like, we've been talking about it for months now. Like, want to hear my argument again? Well, yeah, whatever.
And I think it helps because that's just like that's also like a cheat mode. But the bad stuff.
No.
Don't be too harsh.
The difficult stuff. I'm not gonna be harsh. The biggest problem for me, difficulty, is that like when I write a script, I know what inflection and everything I'm going for. I know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's hard to just give a script to someone else and have them convey it in the same way.
Yeah,
so
because I can't know.
When Alicia is writing a script, she just kind of interprets...
when I'm reading a script,
reading, of course, narrating. You kind of interpret sentences in ways that, like, you subtle ways that I didn't. And sometimes that can kind of change the meaning. So I have to tap you on the shoulder and be like, could you re-record this line? And you're like, oh, do I really have to? And I'm like, yeah, because it makes it sound like you're saying something else.
And I hate that.
It's amazing, really, how often, like, these different inflections and everything can change lines. I don't think you have the same problem with your own scripts, because that's your baby.
No,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm talking about, and it makes sense. Also, when I put it in the teleprompter thing, it doesn't show when you have put like cursive words.
Yeah, I have done that before, but then I switched over to doing like capitalized.
It's better.
Yeah,
it's much better, and you have probably noticed that it's better. Because
like earlier videos will have some parts that are strange when you know the script is.
But for me, though, I don't think I necessarily have a lot of problems. The only thing maybe is that Kiki and I are both a bit firm with our ideas. You know, we really hold them close to our hearts. And one of the things that I'm really annoyed about sometimes, but that has been a little bit looser, is you do the thumbnails.
Oh.
Yeah. And I've talked about this before, but you're like, I just come to you and I'm like, hey, Kiki, I have an idea that we maybe could change how they look a bit. And then you're like, no. Like, it's impossible. It's not possible. It can't work. But what's funny is that I have put some seeds in your head, basically. For if you have noticed recently, they're actually color on the characters.
Look, it's a long game.
That was actually me who suggested that to Kiki 7 months ago.
Yeah, and then I suggested it, and I came up with it.
And I love it.
I know you had been saying it. That was just when doing Death of Video Games. So this is I feel like the time is now.
Yeah. I think
basically I just kind of have a vibe going with the thumbnails. I think the one part that I will never let go is that I don't want text in them, because I think it looks tacky. Just to be completely honest, I hate text. I just hate text in visuals. That's just my very artist hot take. When I draw stuff, I hate text.
Yeah. I just think that
it's just me being stubborn.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we don't necessarily have a lot of problems, because honestly, we've been stuck in this fucking room now for what is it, 2 years?
No, 1.5. Yeah,
1.5 years, and we still don't want to kill each other. And I think that's I think it's just a testament to how similar we are while still being quite different. I
guess
think
we will discover our differences more in this Q&A.
Yes. I just think that we work very well together,
Yeah.
and that's probably like why we just like stuck together so fucking hard, like instantly.
Yeah.
It's just we're a power team.
Yeah.
That's all. What game / movie / whatever do you wish you could forget so you could re-experience it for the first time?
I think my go-to answer for this is Fez, because that's like a mystery
Box.
riddle game where it's like, oh, there are so many strange arcane puzzles and things for you to figure out.
And then the ending, I suppose.
Oh yeah, I guess kind of.
With, like,
But it's
unravels
basically
itself.
like you come into this world and you know nothing about it, but it's so alluring. And basically, when you then figure out stuff, you will never forget it. Like, it's so memorable, which is a detriment because you can only really play that game once. And we were also talking about that same thing for The Witness.
Yeah, you basically come into that world, at least you and me. We went into it kind of blind. And yes, like we knew what it was, but didn't really know exactly what to expect. And, you know, you just do the puzzles, and then you get to the end the first time, and it's like mind-blowing in a way.
That whole game makes a point out of how you can't forget it.
Yeah, like it's important for the second playthrough.
Information is learned, which is very interesting. We will probably make a video about it sometime. But basically, I think that's my go-to generally for things that I would kind of want to forget and come back to, maybe a long time in the future or something. Basically, it's very memorable riddles and things. Like The Witness still has a lot of tricky puzzles and things. Even if you know what you're supposed to do, it still is tricky.
Yeah,
like you still have to think about it, and maybe you're having issues, which is good. So it's not like the game is just suddenly completely transformed. Like I would say Fez is more like that. It's like when you know what to do, you're kind of just going through the motions. But yeah, I would say just kind of very memorable puzzles. I want to forget them so I can experience them again.
Those kind of games where you really... another one is probably Outer Wilds. Which is like... Because we had a very interesting experience with that one where a lot of people knew about the time travel thing.
We knew nothing.
We knew absolutely nothing.
We just went into that game, and then the solar system exploded, and we were like, what the
like, we went actually like several cycles before we noticed what actually happened.
Because we were just deep down somewhere, not like seeing the sky.
Yeah, and then we got to see it like several cycles in, and it was like a fucking revelation. You know, like, holy shit, this is what's happening. And I think that's really rad. It's those kinds of games, I think, that have some kind of revelation that are really good to play completely blind and just discover.
Yeah.
Favorite season? Spring. Because it's not too cold, it's not too warm.
I like autumn, but like basically appreciate the present. It's a gift. I see people who are like upset that, oh, now winter starts and I will be miserable for a couple months, and I'm just like, try to enjoy the moment, because I can't imagine just because the season changed and you're like, now my life will be shit for a while, and it's just like, gosh, that sounds horrible.
Yeah. At least try to enjoy it.
Of course you can still have favorites and everything, but I still like
faves.
I don't really have like a specific time of year where I thrive, because like, oh, now I am in my element.
Yeah, sort of. What's been the most surprising response to one of your videos? Well, that would probably be Metroid, the Metro one, because it's not that people were mean or really angry about it. It's just that we were a bit surprised that there were a lot of people who actually took the lore a lot more seriously than we fought.
And then we did.
Yeah.
I also think we got, that is our second most viewed video, and I think we got a bit different audience than we usually get.
Sure.
An audience that are possibly not acquainted with like how we talk about things, because I also think that that's a kind of deceptive video. It does look like a retrospective or something that would just be kind of positive about everything, because we do begin it very positively.
Yeah.
Like your average Metroid retrospective would be kind of dismissive of the first games probably, but we are just gushing from start, and then when we get to Fusion we're like, this is the best one. And after that, because we're talking about the narrative and how everything connects to Fusion, we just kind of start whining about everything after that. So people are just like, hey, why are you hating on my favorite game? And it's like, no, we're not. Like, we'd like all of the Metroid games, probably.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Like, maybe we should have been more clear that this is a narrative analysis.
Maybe. Perhaps.
I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe we should just cut out that
But basically,
shit.
like,
I don't know.
because sometimes people will be very, like, positively receptive of some videos. Like, Reviewer Brain, we did not expect a lot of people to be like, wow, this is actually really good writing advice. We were kind of like, will people even care about this? And then people did. Like, that's usually how it is. But that's probably the first one where people were like, oh, I'm not feeling this one. And
the Metroid one.
Yeah.
And
we were
absolutely.
just kind of surprised at that. And then we had a period of like 1 or 2 weeks
where
around the
just
release
consumed.
of Dread, where like I stopped going to YouTube because the inbox was just a bunch of comments that are like, you're wrong. And it's like, I don't really need this in my day.
Yeah, and Dread really just like pushed us. Even like Dread just basically made us more convinced about it, like in our conviction. We were like, so during that time we were just like Metroided out. And to be honest,
burned out on Metroid for a long time.
And just Dread, I think, kind of was Dread. At that point, because it was like, you know, we started to look at other people's videos where they talked about the game, and it's just like listening to other people talk about the narrative when you're in that, like, in that mood, in that fucking headspace.
Oh yeah, we were getting like
we were getting
upset
heated
and heated about stuff. So we were like, no, we're taking a break from this. We're not, because you wanted to make a follow-up video like almost immediately, and it was just I don't think that's the time. I really don't think so. And we just kind of came to the conclusion that no, it is absolutely not the time for us to do that, because we will just dig our hole deeper and deeper. But we will come back to it because we think it's important to like tie the whole thing together. With Dread and all that, but that's not connected to this. So that's the answer. This was just the Metroid rant.
Yeah, like always. What do you both feel was the most important thing you learned from all the years you reviewed and talked about games in Swedish? Well, what I've learned is basically don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, honestly, the Swedish video game criticism scene, both on YouTube,
just talking about media, doing YouTube, whatever, like
not just YouTube,
sphere.
not just YouTube, like outside of it too, like writing about it is so stagnant, so small that it's like, honestly, if you want to make money. Let's say you want to make a career out of writing about games.
Or any media, really. It's not just games.
Like, you're one of the lucky few if you get anything out of it. Yeah. Because most people just start up a website of their own and just write about games.
We're not just talking about, like, money. I mean, like for me, bare minimum is interest. Like, having anyone even read what I... work on, like,
and people don't really.
No, so basically, like, just the bare minimum of having a response to what you're doing. Like, when we started doing things in English, that was so helpful, because suddenly you're like, yes, there is an audience, like someone will listen to me.
And I think in Sweden it's just like you're you're really fighting in a really small pond against a bunch of like burly muscle men and stuff like that. People are already sitting on high positions.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know, this is a problem in Sweden in general, where people who have been in the industry for a while.
It's just a huge in-group of people
who were just a huge
in the right place at the right time. And like, we have tried, but it's like, it's not worth it.
Honestly, I have probably gone farther than most.
Oh yeah,
when it comes to this stuff.
You've been in TV and everything, but like it's just a dead end.
Yeah, like I enjoy doing that. But like if I didn't have that outlet where I actually like I have written for like the Swedish broadcasting network and all that stuff, then I wouldn't continue doing that like, at all.
Years of work got you to that point.
Yes, I have been doing this since I was 15.
This is the 2nd year anniversary for transparency. We like going way beyond what we ever could have done in Swedish.
For sure. No doubt about it. Are there any quirks of the Swedish to English language differences that affect the way you think about things and affect the way you script your videos for your English-speaking audience?
Mostly it's synonyms and stuff where you think of a Swedish word that's really fitting and it doesn't exist in English. You're just like, oh no, I don't know what to do here. And sometimes you have to just rephrase a whole sentence, and it is a hassle. But we kind of sidestep that generally by just mostly, like sometimes there's a few notes or things that we do in Swedish, but mostly we work on scripts and the process. We even talk to each other in English increasingly more to just kind of eliminating Swedish from the transparency process, which is a bit strange, but whatever.
Sometimes you just write something that you think makes sense, but it's Swinglish basically.
Oh yeah.
I think that one of the things that we like doing, like on purpose, is basically using like sayings.
Yeah. Swedish sayings, but doing them in English. We have done it. A hen from a feather.
Yeah. A hen from a feather.
We want to do the cream on the mashed potatoes sometime.
Yeah.
We're not sure when, but it will happen.
Yeah, because it's just funny. Like it's just like, oh yeah, the fucking beard in the letterbox, you know. What would you cover if you didn't have to worry about English speaking audiences?
Probably old Swedish media.
Like really old stuff.
Yeah, like use a bunch of stuff that's specific to Swedes, where Swedes would be like, that would be exciting. I would want to listen to you talk about that at length. And everyone else would be like, what the fuck is this shit? I don't care about this. So that's the problem. And that's why we won't be doing it, because, well, yeah, there's no point to it. You had one that you really would want to talk about. We can maybe just do a short one.
Like, honestly, I might try to find a way, but I don't know if this is a thing in other countries, but during the 60s and 70s, there was something called husmorsfilmer, which was basically like infomercials for housewives, but not, of course, in the homes of the housewives.
No, because
no.
State-owned television had no commercial spots or anything, so commercially free television at that time.
And
you had to go to the cinema to show ads. So what they were doing is they basically just had advert marathons of the most mundane stuff. Basically, it's just like, here's how to cook a fish.
Yeah, and what's really funny about it is that this is, like we said, the 60s and 70s, so it's like the booming of the supermarket, and like some things are, and it's also during the time where Sweden was starting to talk about the health of the people. which was really important at that time. It was important to inform the people of Sweden about how to stay healthy in case the Russians came. No, but you know.
Yeah, but basically
joke.
there's like a YouTube channel that just uploaded a bunch of old husmorsfilmer and
housewife movies.
Films, but but it's like those aren't films, they're they're adverts for whatever.
Like one thing that I find, like, just to give an example, so basically there is a commercial where a guy sounds basically like this, sort of, like, and he just starts to like say, "We have found a new fish.
Introducing the new fish.
Yeah,
you can fry it
in
butter. And you can reseal the plastic bag with a paper clip." And it's like, yeah, you can.
And like the jokes are really bad. Like it's just a bunch of people from Stockholm doing really bad jokes in the 60s and 70s. And it's like,
and sometimes it gets racist, and sometimes it gets like just awkward. They're like, we should do like rubbing alcohol. Yeah. Fill the bathtub with that shit, and it's like, you're going to inhale those fumes and die.
One of those is just the rubbing alcohol thing. like the fucking, it's called T-sprit. Yeah. It's basically like just like pure alcohol.
Yeah, you don't drink that stuff. You will be blind.
You fucking put it in your car. Basically, that's what you do.
But they're just like obsessing over it, using it for everything. You're just like, no, don't.
Yeah, and they're just like demonstrating how you can use this fucking powerful fucking alcohol, like pure alcohol, to clean your bathtub and like your plates, and like in your dishes. And it's like, oh no, what do you know? It's super funny. And I don't know, one of my favorite ones, I know we're going on a bit on this, but one of my favorite ones is where basically, you know, because the housewives, of course, knows all about this stuff. Yeah. So they present a guy who's like, okay, so here's the new butter thing.
Oh yeah, it's always like the husband being really, so like a big really baby. He has never heard about like margarine. He's like, wow. And he's like reading the like table of contents, and he's like, if I eat like 40 sandwiches a day, I will get all the fucking vitamins and minerals that I need.
Yeah, and he just starts to spread.
They just draw this out, like it's so long, and oh gosh.
I love when he spreads the butter on the like 40 of these. Yeah. And they just present him like he's the biggest stupid idiot you've ever seen. Yeah. And it's so fucking, like, honestly, the person in the background who's just like he's just doing the first thing. He's like, yeah, then you put the he's like, you know, he's doing the dad thing where he just mutters to himself.
He's definitely a dad.
Yeah, and then the background person comes and is like, what the fuck are you doing? You
Stop it.
You stupid fucking ball sack. It's like, fuck.
And it is very funny. But like the big problem with that is like context and like... It's in Swedish. Like a lot of the funny parts is how they're doing like old-timey speak, and they're being dry in a very Swedish way. Like you kind of need to know Swedish for it to be fully funny. And there's just a lot of context and everything for everything that, like, you would love to do one of those. I can see it in you, but like we don't know. Like, this is it basically. This is the husmorsfilm. This is a secret transparency we're doing here.
I'll find a way. I'll find a way. Do you like hugs? If not, what would be your hug equivalent? Yes, it's even in our Twitter bio that we like hugs. So you can't hear it right now, but we're hugging. We're hugging really tight.
Honestly, I prefer hugs to kisses.
It's true.
It's better.
Which is your favorite Final Fantasy?
Kiki, short answer, probably 6, maybe 7. Alicia, long answer.
It won't be that long of an answer. I don't necessarily want to actually... rate them, like put them in rankings, I don't want to rank anything really anymore, but like those games, they're so different, and I think that they do such different things that it's not really necessary to like pit them against each other in that sense. But if I have to pick like a favorite, or at least some favorites in the franchise, it's probably 10 and 9 at the moment, but it's ever changing.
What about 14?
14, I think, like, 14 is probably part of that. It was at least, 3 months ago. So that's what I'm talking about. It's ever changing. I'm playing Final Fantasy for 13 again. And I'm actually enjoying myself for the first time, which is really nice. So that's what I'm talking about. It's like a project, you know. I'm trying to re-experience things and feel it out. See the positives in all of them. And a game you certainly won't be making a video about? There are a lot of video games we wouldn't talk about, I think. Like for several different reasons. I don't think we would talk about like the most obvious ones, sports games, like Madden or FIFA. Like, why would we talk about them? Like, there is no, like, I have no interest in sports at all. I know nothing. And that would just, I have no idea.
This is the safest answer you could have come up with.
Yes, but I mean, it's broad. But I mean,
yeah,
like, I don't think we would make, like, let's say, a dedicated video about fucking Aladdin on Sega Mega Drive.
No, why would we?
Yeah, like you know that, like the Lion King.
Yeah, but like we are not at the point where people are like just requesting us to do like, oh, can you please do the Battalion Wars video that you inferred in the Q&A video? And we're just like, no. We are not at that point, but I guess maybe now we will be.
Yeah.
Where people just beg us to do something.
Ask
that
us in the comments. Like, just ask us in the comments. When will you make X video? And yeah, that'll be fun.
And maybe you will say no to all of them.
Maybe you will give us ideas.
Oh, that's how
actually.
We do it.
So that's a good one. I think we're never gonna make a video about Spanky's Quest or whatever it's called. What keeps you motivated? Is America even real?
I mean, I have been to America twice and touched it. I've touched America with my hands, so it's certainly real.
It's tangible.
In like a tangible sense that I can touch it, but I'm not sure about the other stuff.
It doesn't feel real. It feels like at some points it just feels like a fever dream.
The first time I went to the States, I sat in a car watching like a suburban neighborhood fly past, and I was just like,
wow,
this looks like a film set.
I mean, it probably was at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? But about the other thing, though, what keeps you motivated?
Money. No, not the money. It is the discourse. It is being able to share our views and thoughts.
Yeah.
And like, just kind of contributing something. That's like the most exciting part usually about making and releasing a video, is that we're like, yes, we can share these ideas and we can make people think about them. And like, the dream is really to just be like, introduce something that just makes people stop and go, wait, you're right, this is a thing. And then people be like, transparency did a thing. We're like, they made us think about this. Like, that's when people...
You know, being brought up in an argument or something.
When people say that, like, we have affected their way of viewing things, or like introduce ideas to them, or like they just made them think about, rethink things and just consider things. Like, that is exciting. That's what I live for, basically. Like, I don't... Okay, I need the money.
You need the money to survive, sadly. But it's not like the most important thing is actually contributing something. Like that's the motivation thing. Is basically that we think we can give a different perspective, at least. And I've heard some people like say we're contrarian. Or like just that those words, and I don't think that's true.
This is like the pretentiousness thing, where it's just like, are there really contrarians as much as you just not agreeing with it? Like, come on.
Because I just like giving different perspectives, and I've like everything I say, I at least think is interesting or like something that you can think about. I wouldn't say the things for no reason, you know?
Yeah, no.
And I think that's the motivating factor. The stuff that keeps us doing the thing. What makes you look at something, be it movies, shows, games, and say, this would be perfect for a video idea that I'll spend a couple months on?
The intense urge to do it. We just, like, when we get an idea, we're like, okay, this is it. This is what we're doing. Like, sometimes it's intensively obstructive, where you're just like, okay, I guess this is it. This is now, okay, we're not in control. We are not in control of our idea processes.
Mayday. We're not in control. Yeah, like, honestly, it's just that you get, I talked about it before, like, just a spark. A spark comes, and you're just, yes, this is it. Like, you just start playing something, and then you see something, and you're like, oh, this is what it's about. Oh, and you just start like gushing, and then you start talking more about it, and then it's like, yes, this is it. This is the one. We need to do this now.
Yeah, then you're screwed. And then a couple months later, you're like, here's a video, and people are like, yeah. Who cares?
It's the Watam video.
Oh,
and you
the Watam video is actually very quick to do.
At least.
Turn around in like a month.
Yeah. At least it was easy to make. If nothing else. What is your favorite color of Yoshi? The best color of Yoshi is absolutely pink. Because it looks really good, especially when you're in a go-kart.
Transparency color.
Yes, also that.
But the best color of Yoshi is actually orange.
If you could remake a video game, which one and how?
We think all games are basically like precious and beautiful the way they are. Like, I am increasingly not interested in the idea of remakes unless like you really do something interesting with it. But if I had to do it, I would probably do a remake of Radical Dreamers. And I know you will think like, what about Chrono Trigger? And no, I would just be like, look, I just want to do Radical Dreamers because like it's a text adventure, so there's a lot of possibility to just kind of adapt it and do something interesting with it. I would just have a lot of fun with that and try to like maybe fix some of the awkward parts.
Yeah. Delete the
like,
bad.
That's just a solid game. I really like that one, and I would love to just give it more love and care than the literal 3-month development time it had, which is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't want to remake games because fuck that. It's the games are perfect just the way they are. That's the interesting part, you know. Video games and just media in general, they're perfect in what they do. Like, they're perfect in being themselves. So what the fuck can I do? I would remake Balan Wonderworld and the only thing that would have changed is the menus.
Make them a bit more intuitive.
Yeah, that's the only part. That's the only part.
Everything else is exactly the same. It's the statement.
Yeah. It's just Balan Wonderworld Deluxe Edition, and it's just the same, except for the menus. That's all. How into horror are y'all? What's some of your favorite horror or horror-themed media?
When I was a teenager, I was actually really into horror stuff. I watched a lot of horror movies and everything, so much that I just kind of like everything became stale and boring because I was just like, oh, all horror movies are the same. Everything is the same. I know everything that's gonna happen.
And it's
So
not.
I just got burned out. Like I just kind of stopped and like I know a bunch of stuff about horror stuff, especially horror films now, but I just never really got the urge to go back to that. So like, I don't really watch or read or anything. Like,
Yeah.
I like the Junito comics. That's a very boring response, but that's basically it. That's like my if I had to just have a go-to horror thing, that would probably be Junito.
Probably. Other than that, I wouldn't say I'm necessarily a horror fan. You know, I don't seek it out that much. But I do like Silent Hill. I do like Little Nightmares.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
And you know, just that stuff in general. I don't play a lot of horror stuff.
If you want horror stuff, you should go to our friend Pim.
Yeah.
Shout out to Pim Script.
Fucking hell. But yeah, so that's not really necessarily my stuff, I think. Metroid is almost a horror game.
Metroid Fusion is a horror game.
Metroid Fusion is a horror game. That's my favorite one. Let's just say that. How do you make the process of making videos sustainable for yourself? By which I mean, how do you stave off burnout? How you balance self-care with work? How you create sources of joy for yourself in your process? That kind of stuff. Well, the secret is that you don't. You basically don't. You don't
That's
balance
the problem.
everything. To be honest, though, I think that the reason why we can work it out in some ways is basically because some days we just decided, no, today we're just playing video games.
And that's like not by schedule or anything.
No.
We don't really have a schedule. We just kind of do it by feel. And some days we are both like, I don't know. I don't have the
done.
energy to know. So we just sit in bed and play games all day and are content with that. And I think that's just helpful.
Yeah. I mean, there are
we
still...
do it by feel, basically.
Yeah. I think that you have to be a bit aware of yourself because it is stressful. I get anxious about making videos and all that stuff. I get in periods, you know, where it's like, you know, I have different phases during video production that I go through basically every time. And I don't know, I just think it's good to be aware of yourself in some sense. Sometimes you will just, like, at the end of the month, you will feel like fucking shit. And it will be terrible. But at that point, I think you just need to step back and just be like, okay, I'm taking a day off. And that's it. Favorite Sonic character from both of you?
90s Amy.
Yeah.
Basically.
That's the only right answer, honestly.
He's very precious design. I just love that, the old classic, very 90s.
Yeah. It's a shame she wasn't playable in Sonic Mania.
Yeah.
To be quite honest.
It's silly. They're like, Ray and Might, and just like, are you serious? Not even like the Chaotix gang or whatever.
Yeah, no. If you had to adapt moving into a video game, what kind of game would you go for?
Yeah, so basically, Hyper Games are making a Snufkin puzzle adventure game, apparently. Like, we don't really know anything about it right now. We have heard, like, there have been rumors throughout the years that some Norwegian game company wanted to make a Zelda-esque game with Snufkin. And, like, was that Hyper Games? Maybe, possibly, we will never know, but that's kind of interesting, and I do like that idea of like a Zelda-esque thing. But I think what you would want to do is to make it like a pacifist thing, because Moomin Valley is very peaceful, so no health bars, no enemies, no death sequence or anything, no damage. Like, you just kind of hone into the the thinky aspect, the puzzle aspect, and like personal relationships and everything. Like, just make it a very pleasant and wholesome thing. I think you could do it, and I think what you would want to do is have that be the challenge. Like, make it non-violent, basically.
I think you can make a Pikmin-like game.
Pikmin.
I think you can make a Pikmin-like game where you just like
you have Hatterfatters.
Yeah, and you just like you're probably Snufkin, and you play your flute, and they follow you.
That's not a bad idea, actually. No.
And then they like pick up stuff and like bring them home, and you build a base and stuff like that, and it's just fun.
Otherwise, like an Animal Crossing thing, I think that actually exists. Maybe I don't remember. I know there's like a 3DS one in Japan.
Only in Japan?
Yeah.
That's fucking bullshit.
It's Japan bullshit all over.
Yeah. Fuck. Of all of your videos, which thumbnail is your favorite?
For me, it would probably be Celeste or Mario 64, because I'm kind of playing around with the format in that, like just doing something more intricate. Yeah. I got a comment that was really like interpreting the Mario 64 one, and I was just so happy when I got it, because
they read it correctly.
They did, well, not correctly, but they did make a reading where it's just like, yeah, that was what I was going for. So that was exciting, because it's like Mario is facing
the viewer.
Yeah, facing away from the viewer, walking into the darkness, but he's also walking forwards into the darkness, and he's simultaneously walking back, but towards the light.
Yeah,
it is very deep cover.
Deep
thumbnail.
It's a very deep thumbnail.
I also quite like pretentiousness, because it's funny.
That's the one I was gonna say. I like the colors. I think the contrast is really good in that one, because a lot of the thumbnails before around that time had a bit of a problem with the contrast, where it's like not really easy to see everything. But that one, because it has the black stuff as well, like the black boots and the...
It is
stuff.
Obvious that I drew that, because like, if it's made from scratch, it would just be so much easier to just kind of mold everything than just using pre-made images that aren't really made for that format.
Yeah.
It can be a challenge.
It looks cool, okay. How are you guys doing? Holding up well as the pandemic hopefully comes to an end? I think we're doing fine.
We're doing fine.
Yeah. It's there was a time in the middle of the pandemic, sort of, where we couldn't deal a bit, because it was like just a thing where it's like, we're never gonna meet anyone ever again. Like, this is just life
doom
now.
And gloom.
Yeah.
But the statistics are looking better. I want to be apprehensive, like at least after Christmas. Because last year things got bad around that time.
Yeah. So we're just gonna stay home for Christmas.
If things look well all the way through December, then I will feel safe probably walking outside again. But until that point, I'm like, yeah, I can wait 2 more months. It's fine.
And like I think we're at least going out a bit more.
Yeah,
just in general. But I don't know. For example, we decided we're not going. We didn't went to Comic-Con.
I really would have wanted to,
year.
but I'm just like, no.
We can wait.
We can wait.
We have waited this long. I think it's too early.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily a good idea to at least not for me personally.
I see why anyone would do it, because
yes.
you've been
sat. I wouldn't blame anyone.
No.
This is just a personal thing. But we're doing fine. Surprisingly fine, I think. Do you miss the Virtual Console and similar services like it?
I mean, we still have a Wii U, so it hasn't left us. But
we actually bought something on Virtual Console on the Wii U quite recently.
We have done that, but we haven't done it that much. We have never really used Virtual Console to a larger extent.
Yeah, extensively.
We have always used alternatives.
If you know what I mean.
But like, that's just us. And of course, it should just still be there on Wii and everything. Like, it shouldn't go away. That's basically it. I just want the Wii U Virtual Console to still be there, but it's not. The Wii U Virtual Console should still be there. 3DS one should still be there, but I mean, it will probably go away someday, and that's a shame.
Yeah. It makes sense for Nintendo, of course, because I think some
they're
people...
a business. They want to like funnel their audiences into the new stuff.
Yeah.
We get it.
I think some people look at it the wrong way, though. They're just like, why don't Nintendo sell their games? Like, you know, it's that kind of thing where it's like, oh, don't they like money? That's exactly what they do.
Yeah.
This is like, I think people have to understand that what Nintendo is doing...
They're playing 3D chess with your, like, needs.
Yeah. They're like, oh, you want these things. Well, we can, just making them more special...
Yeah.
By not selling them to you.
Yeah.
Like, just the fact that you can't own Ocarina of Time and Super Mario 64 on your Switch is just from their perspective, it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
It's like...
Pay for the service yearly.
Yeah, you will never own them.
Yeah.
Because, like...
And then every year they introduce something new. They're like, oh, here's the new game that you will want to online for. Here's this other thing. Here we have expanded this. Like, they will keep doing that. They will keep trying to give you arguments to extend your subscription one more year and everything. Yeah. That's what they do. That's very likely what gives them more money.
Yeah.
Nintendo...
Because I think that...
They act in strange ways.
Yeah.
But they... be certain that they know how to get the money.
Yeah. And also, like, you just have to understand to some degree that they have data on all of this.
Yeah.
Like, you might I always find it kind of funny to listen to people telling Nintendo that they're stupid and that they don't know what they're doing and that they should market their games, you know, stuff like that, where it's like, dude, Nintendo knows so much more than we do about this, like, this particular stuff.
It's
like
the sales.
Like just the data they have that we don't on what sells and what doesn't.
On
is
the
just
virtual
like
console, especially.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I don't think they've ever been public about the sales numbers for virtual console.
I don't think so.
And
they might have told something.
Possibly,
yeah.
Point. But it's like, it is interesting that they probably know in detail like how people
spend
money and like consume those games. And I think this new service is probably indicative of that, where they're like, no, we can just put a bunch of them into like a service thing, and then we will siphon more into it. So it's like, oh, maybe they will add the game I want later at some point.
We were kind of talking about this before, where we were kind of unsure if they would do Nintendo 64. But then I kind of thought, like, yeah, but Nintendo 64 is a bit too old. Like, GameCube games, though, that's the point where we get to the area of we might as well remake those games.
Yeah, re-release
or
them.
remaster them to sell them for 60 and gain even more money. Like, what's the point of giving you those games?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just that thing, I think, is like, this is just it's not us saying that it's good.
No,
it's
we're just like looking at
shit.
how Nintendo as a business are likely doing things.
It's like, speculation.
We would want all of their games to be available all the time, preferably for free.
But it's I just think it's kind of interesting. The consumer needs to be a bit savvy and at least understand where these things come from. And I think we
why
need to
is this done, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Because usually there is probably a reason that they don't tell us.
Yeah. They are our business.
Yeah.
Nintendo are not your friends. They are our business. They don't give a shit.
Yeah. Would you like to say anything for the eggs who might be listening? One thing that really helped me while I was struggling with coming out was basically hearing that, yes, you are trans enough. It helped me to such a degree that it just pushed me forward like a lot. And I think that's partly because a lot of people struggle with just the fact of feeling fake, like they're not enough, like they're not doing what they need to do to be whatever they want to be, you know. And I think we need to believe ourselves. Also, while you're waiting and just being like, while you're figuring this shit out, you should put yourself up on the waiting list to get trans healthcare. Because
that stuff takes time.
Yes,
you will have
plenty
of time to think things through.
Just fucking sign up, because chances are that in the fucking 1 to 2 years you have to wait for that stuff, you will have figured it out. Yes. So it will just save you a bunch of time. And even if you figure out that it's not the fact that you are trans, well, that's fine. That doesn't matter. Like it doesn't cost you anything to stand in line for this.
I don't think so.
At least not here. That's just, I think, the best way, the best tips you can get while you're still figuring yourself out. What's the cat's name?
The cat's name is Jessica, which is a Hungarian comic book character. And the reason why we used that was, well, that comic was viral around late 2019 and he's kind of fell into 2020.
And you were you just like that.
I used to like that comic, yeah.
How it looked, you were
but
just
also,
like,
there's like a running family theme. So we're like my sister's old cat, who's dead now. Mafalda. Yeah, she got really old. I think she got 20 years old, 19.
Old fucking cat.
Mafalda, which is an Argentinian comic. So I guess the family theme for me is cats with obscure comic book character names, which is funny.
I think it's nice. Does Jessica get to write an episode about cat toys, pats, and scratchies? She's working on it, but it's kind of like stuck in production hell because she doesn't have hands, and it's really hard to write when you don't comprehend language. Why don't we get to look more at the cat?
Well, here's the cat. That's Jessica.
She's
on screen right now. Look at her being all good. Jessica.
Like, I think we make like just reasons to put her on screen as much as possible.
We have gotten I think there was some video, I don't remember which one, where we forgot to put Jessica on screen and we got comments like, where's Jessica? We're like, we forgot to just film her for a little bit.
So usually we just we need this game here, so we just put the game beside her, and she does things.
It's kind of hard to get your cat involved in videos usually because they will just be chilling in a corner.
She's quite easy because as soon as we start moving the camera and the lights, she's just fucking there. She's just like, oh my god, you're doing things. Hello, I want to be part of this.
But when you were on screen, I think she only has been with you twice or something.
Oh yeah. She doesn't do that because while we record,
that's hard. That's what I meant. Hard to have. But otherwise, you can just put a game on her when she's just sitting in a corner and there we go. Film that.
In the Moomin video, she was really cute.
Yeah, because she was a little baby.
She was just a little baby.
We could just distract her with little toys. That wouldn't fly today. She would just be like, what's all this bunch of shit you want me to stand on?
Anyone ever comment that your little ghosty kind of looks like the young Maku tree from Zelda Oracle of Ages?
No, but now you have. That sure is a Maku tree from Oracle of Ages, not Boo. But it looks like Boo.
Now we know.
Now we know.
Now we
there
know.
It is.
Thank you. Is there any game you refuse to review? I don't think we have ever refused to review anything. But once again, it's probably one of those, like, I would never review Madden because I can't. It's impossible. What is even a Madden?
Yeah, when we've done like review jobs,
we pick up everything.
We take the games that we would want to play. Like we could see ourselves try to either want to buy or buying like.
Well,
what finds it our interest? I would never review a game that's just not interesting to me at all. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, who is this helpful for?
And that doesn't mean we're not, like, we're just reviewing things that we're gonna be positive about, because that's really not the case. Like, when we were reviewing
we can be harsh.
Yeah, like, oh, fuck my life, we're harsh sometimes. But it's like, when we were reviewing the most, we were just picking up like a bunch of indie games, like everything. We were just like the stuff that no one else would take because they only want, like, you know, the bigger stuff. So we just pick up like Hamsterdam, whatever the fuck that is, Jump King,
we did
Male Mole.
Oh gosh, well we did
fucking what's
we
that
wrote
game
a review
called?
For Stranger Things 3, the game.
Oh my god, it's
sadly
so
it's in Swedish, but like that's one of the funniest things we've written, I think.
It's so fucking
it's so
scathing. Like, it's so, like, honestly, we hated that thing.
Yeah.
We were so surprised that, like, outlets, other outlets were, like, writing about, oh yeah, it's a really good game. And it's like,
me of Somerset My Neighbors.
Yeah,
but Somerset My Neighbors is firstly a better game, but also not really a good game, actually.
And I would say it doesn't at all remind me of that.
No.
Like, fuck, it's not even like close. It's just the perspective, basically. They were like, oh my god, it's just like that. And I don't know. So there aren't a lot of games we would refuse to
Look, if someone
review.
came to me and was like, oh, gotta review Madden 2020 something, and I would be like, nah.
You might try. What are both your top 5 favorite films each?
I would go with Night on the Galactic Railroad, Blade Runner, Labyrinth, Resan till Melonia, and maybe Angel's Egg.
Yeah. I don't, like, I'm just gonna rephrase the questions to be like 5 favorite films and not the top 5, because
that's not my top 5 either. I just picked 5.
Because I can't do that. I have no idea. I don't watch that many movies either. I would say, though, Lilo and Stitch, because it makes me cry, and I love it. And it's really good.
I'm lost.
I'm lost. Anyway, Spirited Away, Alien, a Goofy movie, and Nightmare Before Christmas.
This is a Transparency approved top 10 gay films ever.
Yeah. So now you know what you're gonna do for like the rest of the day or something. Watch all these movies in a day. Yeah. Favorite music?
I could go on and on about this, but we're close to the end. So will you say short answer, post-punk and shoegaze? You can hit me up if you want to talk about that, because I will be ready. Yeah. And Alicia?
You know that scene in Twilight, the second one?
No, I don't.
Okay, but the audience will. You know the scene in the second Twilight film where Jacob asks Bella, like, something along the lines, don't you like music? And she says no. I have never related to something more. No, but really though, I don't listen a lot to music. It's basically like every 6 months or so, I go on a binge of Red Hot Chili Peppers and David Bowie. That's basically what I do. It's just like, oh, it's 6 months. I'm really sad. Let's listen to fucking David Bowie and Red Hot Chili Peppers. It's
You
just
will
a
put
mood
like
thing. It's just a mood
stuff
thing.
in the background sometimes, but
I
it's usually
will.
like game music stuff or something like it.
Game music.
Game music. Yeah, like one of the biggest like lifestyle changes with like us moving together was that I used to have music on like all of the time, and then you're like, I don't really. And I'm just like, oh shit, because I don't really want to annoy you, so I like it's very.
You can
I
ask
listen to a
me.
lot less music nowadays, and like
She listens to it on her own, though.
yeah, like
But
headphones, but like I'm not almost never using the record player anymore because I'm just like,
well, we
I
don't
will
have.
annoy Alicia. Yeah, because we sold off a bunch of like speakers and things because
we were gonna get new ones.
Yeah,
though.
we are going to do it because
yeah. But like you can ask me if you want to listen to music. Usually there are times when I have told you when you're putting on the headphones, I'm like, you can listen to it. It's fine. Like, I don't really care that much. It's just like sometimes when I work and I hear music that has lyrics, I get really distracted.
Here's something you do with music, though, that you love to do with music.
Yeah.
You love to improvise lyrics of profanities. Just like, you hear a melody, usually when playing a game or something, where it's like there's a repetitive loop or something.
Yep.
We've been playing Animal Crossing the latest days, and it's like every hour there's a new song. So it's be like, I'm gonna fuck you in the ass, sucking the cock in the ass. You're just doing that stuff, and it's just like very, very grotesque lyrics, and I'm just like, this is so horrible, and we just kind of do that. And I have like, there have been occasions where I just put on like, I used a regular record or something, like music I like, and then you start doing that to that, I'm just like, no, you're not doing this to me. No, you're not taking this one away from me. You're not, no, you're not allowed to do it with this one.
I'm sorry. You can't say this on air. I'm gonna keep it, but because I laughed really hard. What's the most obscure piece of information you've managed to find in researching a video?
Probably the stuff we dug out from newspaper archives or the Moomin video.
Yeah, you went like, deep into that fucking newspaper archive.
Just finding stuff, because like usually when we talk about things, it's like it's either just thoughts and ideas, or like we base our things on research other people have done. Like we will just kind of find the information easily available. But the Moomin one, because I'm kind of doing Moomin research of my own on the side, that video just has a bunch of small tidbits and things that I have, like it's my research. We're pulling quotes and things from sources that are just like the raw data from the 50s and things. There are like throwaway lines in that of things that are just like exclusive to that video, basically, which is funny.
Yeah, one thing that I really like from that research that we found that didn't appear in the video is basically that a Swedish newspaper basically had it out for Tove Jansson. And kind of like made it their thing to repeatedly do like claim that she had like plagiarized another fucking weird like creature thing.
Yeah, basically that could be a whole video on its own. I would probably write an article on Mars Mom, which is my side project of movement research.
Follow it on Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter or Tumblr. But basically, like the gist of it is that the Swedish newspaper Expressen were just like, for some reason, they did not like Moomin for a while in like the late 40s and the 50s. Like, they were just making claims like, oh, here's something. Did Tove Jansson steal Moomin? They misnamed characters and everything. They're just like being very like, oh, whatever about
like
it. It's so strange. And so there was like this big newspaper story where a Swedish character that was made after Moomin was like, yeah, I came up with this idea before Moomin got popular in Sweden, so that's why it's just
Wow,
like, no, you
big
could do the
proof.
research real quick and find out that, like, yeah, Moomin was in Finland before Sweden.
It's very strange.
It's very strange.
But I like that one. It was just funny.
It is funny. I should definitely do something about it.
You have 10 seconds. Tell us a writing tip. Go. Don't start a script by saying the name of the subject. And I think we should just, like, flesh that out just a little bit. Just to make it make sense a little bit. So if you're making a Super Mario 64 video, for example.
And it just starts with...
And then you say,
Super Mario 64. What a game. I remember it ever since I was a baby. And I played it with my brothers.
it's like...
It's a game for the Nintendo 64 and it was released in 1996. Like, you used to in, like, the factual, like,
It's
top-down,
Wikipedia.
like, Wikipedia article.
Yeah,
like
you read
your
the title.
teacher in, like, middle school already probably told you that, like, don't start your papers like that.
And it's like, it's not a big problem.
No, but we have noticed that a lot of, like, people just kind of fall back on it because it's easy.
Yeah, it's an easy way
It
to
is
start.
an easy way to start, but it's also a very easy thing to not do. And
Yeah.
it will just make it cooler.
Yeah.
Your intro will be cooler.
What would happen if
Bubble Super Mario couldn't get into Bubble Anyway, that's the gist. Try to avoid that. That's just a tip. What's your favorite video that you've created?
Probably the death of video games. Maybe Super Mario 64. I did watch through them all recently for that highlight reel thing, which was an ordeal. But the death of video games was such an undertaking, and it was very fun to do. It was so ambitious, so long and everything, and I do think it paid off. Like, I think that's a very good video still.
Yeah. My favorites are probably Play Labor and Final Fantasy X because they just come together so well. They're just flowing, you know.
And you may notice that we're just doing
Taking
our
our
own
own.
videos, but that's what happens. That's just what happens.
We're biased.
Yeah, but when you do something, you're kind of having yourself as the core audience. So I will probably like my videos more and you will like yours more because...
Maybe.
Yeah.
I do like Death of Video Games, though. It's really good.
Yeah.
And it's funny.
I like all of yours.
And it has all the things.
I don't think we've done a video where I'm just like, this is bad video.
I think we have made one.
Well, whatever.
But that one we don't talk about.
You will just have to figure out which one it is.
Yeah, you just have to figure out which one. The hint, it's not in the playlists. If you had to pick just one forever, Sonic 06 or Bubsy 3D? And the most important question, of course, at last. It's a hard one. Because both Sonic 06 and Bubsy 3D
Well,
are,
this
of course,
this is the easiest thing ever.
No, both of them are really good. That's the problem.
You know which one. I don't even know why this is a question.
Well, I would say Sonic 06.
Wait,
With
what the What?
yes.
Why do you say that?
Because
That's horrible.
Because it's true.
That's betrayal. What the fuck?
But is it Bubsy 3D
Of
betrayal?
course it fucking is. Why
You're screaming.
why wouldn't it be Bubsy 3D?
Because it's Sonic 06. Like, you need to understand, like, you're just shouting.
I am offended.
Look, you're just shouting and you don't have an argument, while I, the superior one, has actually a reason. Sonic 06 has a lot more content. It has a lot more stuff to give.
I don't need
It
a
has-
reason. Bubsy 3D is objectively better.
It's just objectively better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a fact.
It's-
Look up the dictionary. Bubsy 3D, objectively better.
It's just, that's all it
Yeah,
says.
that's all it is. All that it says.
I love doing the fucking dictionary thing, by the way. Just putting it up there and then being like, yeah, let's look at the dictionary definition of emotions. And it's like, what the Anyway, so Sonic 06, I think you could go with any
We're
of
just
these.
doing a bit, by the way. We're not...
Yeah, it's not for real. But like Sonic 06 though, I think that like you could make an argument for both of these, but Sonic 06 I would say I would probably have more fun with in the long run.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, who gives a shit?
Who gives a shit? Yeah, basically. And that's it. We're done. That's all of the questions. There were some that didn't make it, and it's not for any particular reason. It's
Just trying to make this shorter.
Yeah.
There were some repeat questions and everything. This probably became way longer than we wanted it to be, but whatever. We actually recorded this twice.
Yeah. So please appreciate this, because like honestly, when we tried to do it before, it just didn't.
It was cringe. We did it on camera actually, and it was awkward. We are not camera people who can sit on camera that long. Like, we did not enjoy that. So we did everything to have quality. And
hopefully,
I hope that's just more quality. But I hope that's like a transparency thing. It's like, this isn't transparent enough. This isn't up to snuff. So we wanted to make it better.
So
and
we sat for 2 more hours and recorded again.
Yeah, 2 hours, 2 years of transparency.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Here's to 2 more years of transparency. Not really.
Hopefully more.
Hopefully more.
But it's good to not.
We're aiming for more.
Yeah, it's good to not like oversell it, like just overpromise or something.
No.
I think it's actually good to just keep it like.
Who will know where we will be in 2 years?
Who will know? Maybe we will change the name of the channel to sweaty bum bags, and everyone will be like, "Why did you change it?" That's the next in 2 years we'll do another Q&A, and they'll ask, "Why did you change the name from transparency to sweaty bum bags?" And you will know the answer then, because we won't tell you now.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm done.
Yeah, I know.
Goodbye.
Bye. Kiki. Come back.